Is your name Roy, mate?
Yes.
I'm looking for you.
Welcome to Southend, Yammy B in the house.
Gunsmoke.
Welcome to another Liquid Bullet Productionz. With us today is Mr. Yammy B.
Glad to be here, Lee.
How are you doing, mate? You alright?
Sweet as a nut, boy. Nice one, Roy.
So we spoke a little while ago. You was already scheduled to come on, but there was a little bit of a delay, wasn't there? Something bad happened. So how's that working out for you now?
I know, funny that, isn't it, Lee? I was in contact with you since last July, I think.
Yeah, good for a
Early
while.
doors, yeah, good while back. Yeah, Lee, bad time. Life experiences where everybody else has been facing, you know, since they've been around outside for years and years and years, and all the things I used to hear about that people had to go through while they're out. Now I understand what they all mean, you know.
Yeah, so it must be hard. So you've done a total of 43 years behind bars, correct?
Yeah, in institutions.
Yeah.
From children's homes.
So that's pretty much my whole life. I'm 44,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and you've done pretty much my whole life inside.
You're better looking than me, boy. No, come on.
So how are you finding the transition?
Yeah, good question, Lee. Funny. I felt like my book, obviously, Hopelessly Lost, it's not done yet. But that's how it really feels, because the beginning of it, you know, not being involved in crime no more, for definite, you know, that left me from the time of my injuries, around about that time, barely. And, you know, basically I came out the day of lockdown, which was March the 20, blah, blah, blah. So the day lockdown started, I came out.
So it was probably quite a good way of coming out then, because if it was in a bit of a lockdown, it was probably a slow stepping stone to...
You see it being done. Yeah, but that's what it is. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I know, because they were saying that was a bad thing, but I was saying, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's like a
slow
slow
thing. So when I used to come out in the morning, because like my physio, having a football and a little small ball running down the road in the morning, shadow boxing with the spinal injuries, I used to look around and I used to think, where's everyone? I've never known the roads not to have much traffic and, you know, no one on the streets and that kind of thing. But to be honest, I never really noticed.
Can we just pick up, obviously, talking about your injury there? Can we just go into that how your injury happened and what occurred?
Yeah, Lee, well, you know, it was one of those freakish accidents, basically, big man. I was up late one night, it was about 12 o'clock at night, I was sitting on the top of the bed, didn't have the support things surrounding it, basically, and I sat up, I had my first ever, funny you asked me that, because I didn't realise the other day I need to put clarity on why I was in a double bang up, because prior to that, you know, in the Cat-A's and high risk, and well, high risk means that you can't be banged up with another person. Do you see what I mean? So while I got recalled in 2017, I got recalled for a Richie Millie watch, right? So I ended up in custody, and whilst I was in Wandsworth, I thought I'll apply now because I'm on a recall, license is running out, my risk would be lowered a little bit. So I said, is there any chance that I can move into a double cell? But really, the reasons why I moved into a double cell, Lee, is because I realised staying in a single, they know that they don't have to unlock you if you ain't got work or nothing.
Right.
So I thought, for the grafting purposes, that I would bang up with someone because you got to open up him because he's got a job. That meant that. But so my reasoning behind coming out of single bang up for that first time in centuries was for those reasons alone. I ended up in there a few nights, and that night I went head first from the top bunk bed, here, there, bam, neck step back, cervical spine, 3, 4, and 5 fracture, and basically paralysed straight away.
Yeah, so really, you're lucky to even be walking now.
Well, yeah, they said I would never walk again, but they also said I'd never use my hands. Because they said that my hands would never be able to go past 10 degrees, what is it, to there, Lee? So if your hands can only move from there to there.
It limits you to...
Limited, so I couldn't feed myself or nothing, because you can't use, because that's how it was for 5 months in hospital, from Wandsworth after the accident. But yeah, I got back up, and they were all telling me that you wouldn't be able to use your hands, never mind walk.
So was that more of a turning point for you from the accident? Was that sort of where your mindset changed inside, or?
Yeah, I'd have to say so, Lee, in certain aspects, because while I was lying there, you know, the higher power, you know, God, as I know him, you know, they were all laughing at me, Lee. I started bursting out laughing. I had the collar around here. I was sitting in intensive care, lying down like that. And I was there, my missus at the time, another angel from God, and there was 2 prison officers, but I'd never got on with those 2. Right, horrible thing, you know, just pick on everybody, you know, nick everybody, that kind of stuff. And the funny thing was, a week before the injuries, I was out on the landing, and I fell out with the governor and the PO, and a couple of punches got exchanged, and a week later I had the injury, and it felt like everybody was writing me off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Imagine, yeah.
And that's why they moved me from the wing I was on onto D wing in Wandsworth because of the fighting thing, and then I had the injury. I had the fall not shortly after that. So they were telling everybody that, oh, there you are, bad man. Let's see now, he ain't never getting up again.
And you've overcome it, and you're back on your feet and walking about.
Yeah, but it's not without its difficulties.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Nothing's ever cut and dried like that, boy. Not with his spinal thing. But
so can this injury come back and affect you still? Is it still?
Yeah. They're predicting that it could be all over anytime soon.
Oh, really?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But you know what we say, Lee? You as a fighting man, you would know this. You know, I'm not a better fighter than you, but you know, we're fighting spirits.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Lee, I never ever thought that I wouldn't get back up. Which I find when I look back now, I'm thinking, hold on a minute, Yammy, how could you not have felt that? I don't know why. And it never dawned on me at all.
I think a lot of it is mental, isn't it? It being the right mindset.
Sorry, the mindset, I think that's when you don't know, you're not noticing, it's your second nature to try and fiddle around and get back up.
Yeah, it's just like they say, people that say they can't do something and people say they can do something, they're normally right, because it's your mindset, isn't it, going that direction.
And I think Lee, to be honest, big man, you know, like with the staff there and everybody witnessing everything, you know, that's like a red rag to a bull to someone like me, the classic people pleaser, you know, the one that would always want to, I know you're thinking that, but I'm going to prove you wrong. Yeah. You know, them things kind of work for me.
Just a quick question, Yammy. So, if you didn't have the prison life, what would you have liked to have done with your life, or what would have been your dream? What would have been your ideal life if you wasn't in prison?
Good question, Lee. No one's ever asked me that, you know. How I break that down, Lee, funny you say that again, right? Because everybody always used to say from those young days, all right, the early bit, when I stabbed the abuser, everybody knows what happened, the build up, going to jail, institutionalised early, custody from a very early age, then following people that were doing what they were doing, you know, that kind of stuff. But everybody always used to say to me, you shouldn't be, even in jail, in the Cat A's, the B's, and they say, Yammy, you don't need to do all this. You've got other little skills. You know, you don't know what they are, but other people tell you what they are, but you don't seem to listen. And then the other day now for the final, you know, for 30, 40 years later, now I'm beginning to understand what they meant, you know, because my vision now to be a nice man, a good geezer, you know, not upsetting other people's lives, was much more suited to me because there's no guilt, no conscience. You know, you don't have to, you know, beat yourself up about doing bad things to people. All of a sudden now, the way that I do things, we all got different ways of processing stuff due to life experiences and that, Lee.
Yeah.
But I know now that it was the way that I was taught.
Yeah.
So if someone would have said to me, no, come right, you needed someone who was, how can I put it, Lee?
Someone to connect to on the right path.
Thing.
Yeah.
Because in the old days they had youth workers and blah blah blah. Might have been involved in a little bit of things. You know, they said to me, look, crime don't pay. But I didn't want to listen. You can be doing this, doing that. But if you've got somebody saying
done it
and all that, if you would have given me, or say Tone, Lynch, John, you know, all my mates, they said to me, now listen, kid, this is what it is. Blah blah blah. I think it would have hit home earlier, but I see myself as the way that I always knew that in some ways deep inside me that I was in the wrong game, Lee.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But, so obviously being in jail for that many years, 43 years, you must have seen a lot of people through that time, through the different jails.
Yeah, good one, Lee. Why? Because the old ones, the great ones, if you like, you know, the hierarchy one based on crime and legendary things and that kind of things, infamous, you know, but due to their names, you know, a lot of times people are talking about some of the people that I met and I'm thinking, it ain't that. You see what I mean, Lee? But I met everybody, I would say, there was anybody in that life that would have ever had to be met, because I would have seen my age group, then I would have seen the 10-year thing behind it, then I would have seen the younger ones, and then I would have fitted in with all eras.
Yeah.
So then you're meeting their sons in later life, their nephews, so yeah, that's my dad, you know, and I'm going, yeah, like that. You see what I mean, Lee?
Yeah.
So my mind is so photographic to incidences, times, places, because it's all institutional. Because they always say, well, how do you remember that? And I think, well, the dates and places, because like we saw when I showed you the probation thing earlier, Lee, the dates and times that I was out, that's how I know, because you know that you was only out 12 weeks in 217, you know that you was only out a month in 213, you know that in 211 you was out a week, and you know that in 29 you was out a month. Yeah. So you know that before that you was only out in 99, 2000, you knew before that you was out in 94, then you also knew that you popped out in 92 for a week, and then you popped out in 90 for a month, and then the 80s, you know, for the institutionals all the way through. So it's easy to work out and calculate the days down to the absolute bone about the time spent in custody and the time spent out.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it? Like I say, it's my whole lifetime you spent behind there.
Oh, is it me? I never noticed that.
As you're down here in Essex at the Southend Combat Academy, obviously we saw you
loved it.
You was inside with Pat Tate, one of the Essex boys.
Pat, didn't see much of him outside, but yeah, I had a couple of experiences. Basically, we're talking Brixton in the 80s, I think around about 88, 89 maybe. Yeah. So I remember Pat, even though he's my age, it was like he was a bit older than me in the 80s. Yeah. Because I was just learning the thing then. I went in the Cat A's and the B's then. I was a bit of a sweet boy in the early days. But Pat was a charismatic figure, and he was in Brixton, and if I remember rightly, he was a tick boy.
Oh, really?
On A-Wing.
How did you get on with him? Get on well with him? Good relationship?
Yeah, but he could see the change from seeing me in the 80s and then seeing me the change, because I believe that I changed for the bad. Became a bit more hardened, and think after the Queen's pardon, when I saved the ladies, the probation officer's life in Wandsworth, at that time that would have been about 89. But then having met Pat, he kind of had a soft spot for me, because I think I looked a bit too sweet and think in the 80s. Yeah. But then when I saw him in Albany and then Swellside, then I became what they'd say, what I glorified in, which was the great Yammy B, which we know now is a load of shit, and it was all in jest. But yeah, and then he said, you fucking changed, yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, I liked him, Lee.
I saw one of your stories. He you robbed the postman in the jail.
yeah. Put that one up the other day as well.
Yeah. Pat was there with you.
Pat was there. Kenny was there. Well, I think Kenny was there around about that time as well. I think we was all in Swellside. Swellside was packed with men that would go further into their criminal careers and the cates and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Pat again was either on the servery in Swellside or had a big say around the prison running every day. You know, because my view, you know, with Patrick, which in late life, I suppose, I was a bit the same, that he had a few in his pocket and what he wanted, he got. You see what I mean? And he had a big say. And the day that I grabbed that, it was all hectic. I was legging it down the M1, the concourse at Swellside, and everybody was chasing me. They were chasing two groups because someone licked the job before me, and for the first time in history. And then I got on that Lee, and I legged it onto there. So there was I had a good little delay to get to the thing, but he still happened to pass me, and then I thought, all right, let me stop there. You know what I mean?
So
and he hit me under the bed. And he went out the door, he went, oi. Nah, he went down there.
What was going through your mind when you robbed that postman? Because you're in jail, there's nowhere really to run and hide, is there? So what was going through your mind? Just get it done quick, get what out of there was, and suffer the consequences later? Or?
Nah, I weren't really thinking of it, Lee. I was just thinking, just because you're in jail, it don't mean that you can't go on a bit of work, which is a bit of graft that what I was living for at that time on the outside.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really seeing a lot of people from the out, and I was bang on stuff. And funny enough, a couple of people who you mentioned, they gave me my first smoke of the dark thing during that time there. And I was thinking it was funny, and all that I wanted was the paper notes out of the special delivery, because there was only one person that had a parcel, and he would only take cash. So I formed the idea over lunch, and I was thinking, all right, boom, I'll be having that today, because I was on it. I was on it like that.
It made me laugh, because in that story you said that the postman was deaf and dumb, so he couldn't talk and give evidence against you anyway.
Right, Pat, good one, yeah, because Pat said to me, because I wondered what he was on about, because I didn't know, unless I missed it along the way and I didn't hear it. Well, he definitely didn't hear it. But when I was in Pat's cell, he said to me, yeah, you know, the geezer's deaf and dumb. I went, oh, well, does that mean I'm a wrong then? And he said to me, no. He goes, it just means he won't be able to say it's you. I goes, well, he's going to know it. He'd be able to think it was me, though, because he saw me. And he started laughing, Pat. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's it.
How do you find it in prison with, like, personal hygiene? Because obviously, some people don't like to wash it very often, do they? Have you come across that? And then you've got to share a cell, and have you come across that sort of situation? Or
Funny, Lee. Not a lot of inmates on normal location are smelly. Obviously, there's going to be the ones, can't look after themselves properly, don't know that they're smelling, don't know that there's equipment that they can use, don't really mind because their minds are not, focused that way, sadly, but funny you mentioned that, because I always associated bad smells with the sexual offenders and people that were the odours that used to stay on them. I don't know what it is that I used to always think that reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean, Lee? But in reality, some people will smell and don't know it, but are clean, but they got problems with their deodorant or whatever on that day, and then someone tell them or blah blah blah, but not really loads. But like I said, in the early days, I was banged up with some people. It's not a nice thing before I came high risk, because it's a very when you're living in the same city, you're thinking, oh no, you know what I mean? Because I'm a man, I feel sick easy with smells and that kind of stuff. Lee.
That's why I thought of it, because when I was in Thailand training, we shared a room with 4 guys, and one of these guys' trainers absolutely reeked. It was making us all feel sick. So I was just thinking, in that situation where you're in a cell with someone, it must happen quite a bit.
Yeah, and there's certain behaviours as well, Lee. I was so glad I never had to face that double bang up thing for so long, because you can fight with anyone. I remember, like, you can get up and you've got someone knocking one out, on the bunk below you, and you feel the bed moving and all sorry viewers. But that's the kind of thing that happens in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Lee? And you're thinking, oh no, you're not going to do that in a double bang up. Go in the toilet or go and do it, or just go and do it that way. But you can almost think, but you kind of think, yeah, but I wouldn't do that. But then people got their needs and things, you know, it's just the feature of that kind of stuff. But it feels like you're doing it slimy underneath the blanket. But no, not really. I wouldn't be doing that in front of anyone.
What other characters have you come across in the prisons that we know about, sort of well-known people?
Yeah, everyone, Lee. I mean, you know, you pick your choice, boy. I mean, from different kinds, from drug addicts to burglars to robbers to armed robbers to murderers to maybe murderers, you know, to serial killers.
Yeah.
You know, from all the names that I suppose that are associated with every single crime, the bigger the case and the bigger the headline, I would have met them.
Yeah. So I'll see in one of the comments a name come up, Tel or Terry Adams, is it?
Yeah.
What's your views on there? Was you there with him? Or?
What comment you're talking about when someone...
Someone mentioned his name in one of your videos.
People stuck it on him while they was there. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, funny enough, that was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Couple comes up quite a lot. Terry Adams, met him a couple of times, proper stuff, decent man, doesn't say much, funny as well. And people saying, I heard people put it on Terry or put it on Tommy, Patsy, and I was in Belmarsh as well, with one of them, I can't remember which one it was, Patsy or Tommy, and they're saying, and I was there until they left, like when I was in Long Larton, and they're saying, yeah, but I heard it, but I was there all the time, Lee. Nobody said nothing to him.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they say
Chinese whispers.
Chinese whispers, same thing, but I'm laughing because Terry ain't a man. He don't hang around in gangs. He don't do anything like that. He hangs around on his own, you know, like that. He can hold his own. He doesn't really get involved. Doesn't say too much. When he does, it's, you know, have a little gamble here, bet here, but very his own man. And he looks exactly what it says on the Charlie, but he ain't, if you get what I mean. What
stands out in your mind in prison as like the worst scenario you've seen, as in like a scary thing, like a violent thing?
Well, sort of named Diley in Wayland. Sort of named gets throat cut. There was a geezer that died, sadly, called Victor something, anyway, I better not say it. But he died over some yeast. Basically, my recollection, one stab, died, right? They changed the whole scene in Wayland. This would have been about 91, 2 that time there, when I was still doing a little bit of the CCAT run, after the original young, when I got started up and reached a couple of B's and A's early on when they tried to scare me, kind of thing. That CCAT run, that time, Wayland yeast, somebody gave someone something from the kitchen to say, right, give that to blah, 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 gave it to the wrong geezer, and then all kicked off in full view. One stab, dead.
Bloody hell. We just stabbed in the throat.
I think it was his chest or body, just put in the wrong place.
Yeah.
With a homemade tool, which would have been a spiky kind of thing, you know, that but used in the wrong hands, in the wrong way. You know, it's like anything else. Lee, can go drastically wrong. I see a geezer get his throat cut on the yard, like walk up on the yard in front of everybody on exercise during that morning, and went to hug him, put his arm around him, and cut his throat as well. So I mean, I've seen some terrible pieces of violence that even me, I would think, oh my days, did it really need all that?
Yeah.
But people don't like to take too many chances, do they?
No. Do things like that still play on your mind? Like the horror stories still come back now you're out? Or
I would say, Lee, that I'm so used to it, seeing it. Like I don't get like I feel kind of sad for some of the stuff I did in there, to be honest.
Yeah.
As you probably know. But yeah, no, I've seen some. I've seen guts on the floor. I've seen blood all over the floor. I've seen 2 people on the floor, completely annihilated. You know, I've seen some things where violence is not involved, but people inflicting those kind of violence on themselves and opening up their guts and everything and with their razors so that they can get to the hospital to get medication. That kind of case is full of that kind of stuff. Lee, but horrendous violence, but it's parcel.
Do you ever find? Do you ever come across people that are sort of struggling with dealing with the jail system or being in there to find it hard and they try to commit suicide or try and get out of the situation? Do you get that much in there?
I found, right, and this is fact, a lot of people that use guns, knives, big names outside, when they get to jail, not the same thing, right? Because you can't have a row, you can't think it through properly, because it's a bit more alien to you than the outside. So now you're with figures that are all basically like you, but now the standard that you thought you was, you realise that you're not quite the standard you thought you was. Because you're looking around you and you realise some of these guys have got the full artillery. You know, let's have these favourite sayings in the Cat A's of some have got the brawn, but they ain't got the brain. Some have got the brain and the money, but not the brawn. There's very few men that I ever met that had all the skills, character, empathy, you know, money, so, you know, and fight as well, on the physical sense. Very few that have the full array of everything.
So just going into like, obviously they use weapons in prison, don't they? Like homemade weapons or whatever. What sort of things can you come up against in there? Or what sort of things do they, obviously I know for hot water they use, don't they?
Saw that, Lee. That was the early ones, the sugar in the water. Fortunately did that one myself. And then you reach where there's cooking in the Cat A's, B's, you can get oil, and that's the cooking fat, very nasty thing to do.
So obviously that will stick to you.
That will stick to you and you'll peel off in front of, you know, it's very nasty. But the weapons, being a weapons man in that life, I used to get the quiet ones that could make up the tools, because in certain categories you had the engineer's tools, metal, which is not really a bright idea, is it? You're better off getting a paper bag shop rather than an engineer's thing, where everybody's going to have metal and it can be sharpened. But I often can find the experts that were good with their hands, but might not be mastermind criminals, if you like. But I used to say, and then they used to come out, and I'm talking about long pieces of metal. I'm talking about spikes, you know, out of fridges, because you get the tray, and then you take out those pokers, cut them all up, those little bits, and then take the plastic off them, build up the spikes, sharpen them on the thing, where they're absolute deadly weapons. You know, I've had basically made up meat cleavers in there.
What do they make that out of?
Well, where you get the metal and someone designs it like a cutlass or something.
Oh, right.
Yes, it can be done, but the only thing is in the Cat A's you get wanded down everywhere you go, so the metal detector, blah blah blah, not all the time. Things still come through. If you've got the metal on the wing, you leave the tool on the wing, so therefore, you know, you don't go off the wing with it. So it's already on the wing, so there's all safe places. Everybody's got their own hideouts, and all the places in history have been used before. You know what I'm saying, Lee?
I know, like, go back to sort of films, which ain't always reality. They put the old razor blades in the toothbrushes and stuff like that, don't they? Is that just made up fantasy, or?
No, that is still the one.
Still the one.
Funny enough, Lee, I never used to laugh at it. In Aylesbury, that was like the choice, because everyone's saying, right, make a name for themselves, cut. You know, they had that thing. We had that thing where, don't worry, don't listen to him, cut him. You know what I mean? So you think the 3-4 razors, you're running down the landing, you're going like that, and then you're going to cut, you can still cut your throat. It's a real serious injury, but someone, like, most of the razor things are superficial, so the scars are there, and then you take the plastic off, and then they kind of disappear, Lee. But the razor thing kind of died out a little bit with the dinosaurs. You see what I mean? And in the case, I mean, it's the safety with the toothbrush, the comb, you had the bits onto it, still going to make it, you know, someone comes walking down from the hospital wing covered in blood, but he's got to go to healthcare, and you look at it, it looks so bad with all the stripes going down his face, but you see him when it's cleaned up and everything, it's like little, not belittling what can happen, because in the wrong place, obviously, you know, like anything else.
I suppose in this day and age as well, they use the super glue, don't they, to just glue it back together, where the old days it'd be a big scar with where they've stitched it, so it removes that element.
But then you could also get the Stanley blade, which is used in workshops, the wood, which will be a longer piece of blade, and that would be on that, and you that would probably be a better weapon. But yeah, all kinds of weapons, big man.
Was there a lot of sort of fights happening all the time, or just sort of now and again?
No, every day the bill.
Every day.
Yeah. The young ones now, that's every day in the C cats, Bs, but in the A's, when it happens a lot more serious.
Yeah. Is that more from like just arguing or bullying and such?
It's just the bad vibes we think, because like if you go to the cat A's, no matter who you think you are, what you think about yourself, you know, B's probably anywhere really. Like you turn up, you're going to meet people searching for weaknesses inside of you. More so the cat A's, because a lot of people are not getting out. So then their defense mechanism very much like, you know, some of the stuff I went through, the fear factor, letting somebody know I done him, I cut him, went off there picking targets, so that everybody thinks, oh yeah, I remember when he had a fight with him, so he can have it, he's in it. So
I mentioned it to you earlier, but I watched the interview with Chopper Reed, the Australian guy, and they were asking him about you know, when he's inside, you know, what makes him sort of fearless, you know, what made him. But basically, he didn't have fear. He liked prison. He liked violence.
Brilliant, man.
So all the time, you know, his other guys he's in there arguing with, they want to get out. They don't want to, you know, don't want to get hurt. Where he's in his element there. So guys like that must be more dangerous, because they got nothing to worry about. They don't mind being in there. They're not waiting to get out. Where someone who wants to get out doesn't want to go involved in that sort of trouble, do they?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head again, because I've been having messages from Australia saying, Yammy, how would Nipper or Chopper Reed done, how would he have done in the cat A's? So now you're telling me, Lee. So then I have to say that I was like him, or he was like me, because I didn't care. It was home to me. So I know you lot got things to lose. I haven't. So I can go all out attack, because I don't mind dying anyway. You makes you seriously dangerous. So you can't get affected by the dynamics in an institution, because your heart's protected. You don't have to worry about family outside, things like that. You enjoy being there. You still get what you want as if you was outside, and you go from there.
So you've accepted that as that's your life, and that's where you are. You're comfortable with that, and
sadly,
you've got nothing to lose, have you?
No.
I suppose that makes it hard for people that want to get out and they want to gain stuff. So it puts you in that more dominant position, doesn't it?
Man. Because they always used to say to me, like, I always believed that saying, who dares wins. You know what I mean? You just got to be fully committed, because especially you live, you know, like people like me in there, Lee, where you're after something, and then you've got to give back everything, you know, in some kind of way. But, you know, it was always the same old kind of thing. Even if you gave me them little bits or whatever, and I promised you at the time, don't worry, I'll kill him in the morning, that'd be all right, be all sorted. And then in the morning you come running down the right, do you want me to do it now? No, all I want to do is come, no, I'm not going to do that, because I don't want him to be around. All right, he goes, leave it for now.
So yourself, you was in that position where you was comfortable in that jail. You wasn't looking to get out, or you probably presumed you were staying in there a long time, you'd accepted that. So did you find people used you for like doing their dirty work as such, because they didn't want to go down that path themselves? Maybe they were looking to get out in a few years, where they knew you didn't care. So did you find people come to you to do their dirty work?
I used to kind of volunteer, because I was after the smaller things first. But in the end, you are going to get used, but you're going to have to be able to handle the pressure, because a lot of pressure comes with that. Because I used to promise deliver some, not deliver some, Lee. And, you know, anyone that was kind of all right to me, you think, well, all right then, I'll do that for you in some way. It doesn't have to always be violence that they want things back for. It could be to squash a beef, a bit of trouble. Yammy, can you talk to him? Can you let me know about him? Has he got a few quid? You know, to bring different things to the table. So they use you in that way. Me, I'm out on the landing every day, shouting from the wall, what, you got anything? Like, you know, like, come. So, you know, people are giving you, they like you, they fear you. You know, I'm of the opinion now that it was more, you know, I used to think I was, you know, I was bad and that, and I wanted to be as hard as, you know, some of the artists and all that, sadly, and thankfully, I suppose, in the same breathly, I'm glad that I did it the way that I did it, in the way, if you get what I mean, because yeah, it causes a lot of pressure, because when you like him, you like him, you like him, you like him, who gave you this, who gave you that? And I used to lie there and think, when they used to go on the yard in the morning, right, it's all kicking off today between him and him. And they say to me, what, Yammy, you coming out with me? And I'll say, yeah, I'll be there. And then the other one say, what, Yammy, you're going to be there for me? So when exercise used to come, I used to look out the window and I said, oh, I missed the gate, I'm not going out there. And I didn't want to be there because I liked everyone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and then, you know, lo and behold, a lot of the times, Lee, they used to come in when I never used to go out and there weren't no fighting. So I used to think, like, you know, they're waiting, make the first move. Boy, Yammy's there. But some of these guys are much better physical fighters than me in that way, even though I could do a bit of both, you know what I'm saying, Lee? But once I'm obligated, once I've told you and swore blind for definite, you know, obviously I conned a few times to get what I want, but then when it really mattered, you know, the big lot, if you like, or other people that say, Yam, but they wouldn't ask me like that. It's because they've been good to me. It makes me feel, don't worry, I'll do that for you. When I was low, you looked after me. Hold on a minute, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
But because I've got the history of being sometimes a loose cannon and blah, 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 they're like, but you know what, hand on heart, Lee, a lot of the time, you know, the proper ones, all the people that I met so long years, they didn't want me to leave or go from the dynamics. They wanted me there for whatever purposes, entertainment, running up and down, he said, she said, the whole mix that goes with it. So, you know, they said, no, don't let Yammy do it. Yammy, get him to do it or whatever. So I could, you know, slip and slide around certain things. It depends what skills you got institutionally as well, Lee.
Did you ever have any injuries in there yourself? I mean, like from fighting or?
Once, I suppose the only time really. When the whole wing, a few rushed somebody else, I got in the way, picked up a couple of stumps there. I think still did a couple of marks there, Lee. At the top.
That's it, yeah.
And I remember they all rushed
That's
me.
from a stabbing, isn't it?
Yeah, two. I got 2 or 3, but they weren't coming for me that day. But I was blocking, dancing, because I never had a tool. Because I used to rely on the one punch thing in the early days. You know, in the end, that's going to fade out, and everybody's going to come to kill you. So I was trying to block, dance, picked up a few that time, and that probably changed me forever as well, regarding walking around with knives everywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not just your fist.
Yeah, so you actually had to put that into play, carry your knife for your own protection, really.
Yeah, but I think when you've got a catalogue and a backdated amount of issues, small, albeit a bit of O in here, a bit of things there, done a bit of damage there, was on his side here. You know, I wake up in the morning, I'm up at the crack of dawn, and I'm never sleeping, and I want to be out the door, and I need 1 or 2 things, sadly, to make sure that when it comes, I stand a better chance.
Yeah. So, what sort of jobs did you do? Did you work when you was in the prisons?
In the early days, I'd done a bit of education, it's 8 years, but once 90 started, I didn't do no courses, no nothing. I just ran about for the whole time, and then just as I got the injuries and I came back from hospital, I got the job of teaching people how to read and write.
Oh, right.
So I had a good job there. I forgot the name of it, but I got a t-shirt on. So I got that. Yeah, that's what we bought. Yeah, so I enjoyed that. Yeah, that was a good job.
Did you find that sort of give you a bit more? Having something to do, get up, go to work. It sort of took your mind away from just sort of spare time and giving you mind to think.
But to be honest, Lee, again, every time there was labour, you know, the last 20, 25 years, I would want. So if I did have a little job, education, part-time, going here for a week and then getting a sack, it would be because I could leave the wing, meet people on the way, do a job, do a little bit of grafting, see that one, kiss that, let me have that, because if you're stuck on the wing all day and there's nothing on there, you want to be out and about where you got a better chance of finding things. You see what I mean? So, and either way, you know, but to be honest, big man, I couldn't relax. So for the last 20, 25 years, I was more coming out the door every day, wondering when it was going to go off. Yeah.
Looking over your shoulder every day, seeing what's
horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be.
So no time to read and study and but you have to be on point, Lee, when you've done a lot of bad things, and you know, like they say, there's no rest for the wicked, boy.
So originally you was into your training in there, wasn't you? Like powerlifting and stuff?
Yeah, and football, basketball, you know, a lot of stuff, really.
Did you find that occupied you? Give you a little target, a goal to aim for?
Yeah, Lee, proper stuff, the training. A lot of men, you know, the hench thing, putting on a bit of muscle, you know, having no muscles early on and then getting them. I remember when I first started getting muscles, all I used to do is walk around in my t-shirt and go like I used to feel everything to feel if it was actually there. You know what I mean? And it feels kind of tense, kind of thing, but yeah, I got my gold badge for the powerlifting, body at 70 kilos. Won a couple of titles, but I was more into my football and some like circuits, jumping off the box.
That's good to win something though, isn't it? It's like an achievement, so something you've actually trained to work for and you get a little reward at the end of it.
But it's a good outlet for people, but then now with the shorter staff and everything, sometimes the gym sessions are cut down depending whether you're an enhanced prisoner, basic or standard. It works out like how many sessions you're going to get. So, you know, in the old days, gym was an integral part of the prison thing. Yeah. You know, it was part of thing, go and do that because it makes you all right, boom, you get that session and you want to go back to your cell.
I think a workout as well can help your mental health, can't it? It releases endorphins, so having a workout give you a bit of a good feel-good factor.
Yeah.
What about food-wise in prison? Obviously you see these films, don't you, which is like porridge for breakfast and all that, which is probably a load of rubbish, but how was the food? Is it, I can imagine it being like hospital food or school food.
In the old days, Lee, they had 2 hot meals. So you, in the afternoon at lunchtime, you know, in the old days, 2 like boiled potatoes, steak pie, whatever, in the afternoon, evening. They changed it all. No breakfast in the morning, because in the old days you used to line up for breakfast and there used to be a scoop with the cornflakes, a couple of surgery workers, go and collect that in the morning. Now they give you a box of cereals like that, 1 milk, and they say, they give it to you at tea time, and they say that's your breakfast for the morning. Then they stopped the hot meals at lunchtime and made them all cold. So you actually only get a sandwich for lunch now, right? Or a bit of salad with something, then you get the tea time thing. But you know, in the B's and the A's, you've got the facilities to cook. Yeah. You know, so
I heard it was quite a good job to get working in the food department, isn't it?
In the kitchen, yeah.
Did you get like a little bit more like?
You can probably cook your food while you're in the kitchen as well. If you didn't know how to do it before, then you would learn. But then the kitchen's good as well because you can always nick the cheese, nick the things, bring them back. We can say like, bring back that, we'll give you that.
Did you ever get the opportunity yourself to work at sort of kitchens or?
No, I don't think my wrist would have allowed me because there's weapons in there.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
So where I got that the young thing when I was little, especially with my you know, the way that I looked at weapons, you know, as my biggest safety net. Yeah. You know, in there, I was known for it. You know, I used to break up jars of glass, leave a little bit by the door. You know, so it looks like when they come in, they say, "What are you doing with that weapon, that glass?" I say, "Oh, sorry, the good jar just broke. I'm just going to throw it in the bin." You know, I used to leave bits of weapons around everywhere because I used to always think, right, if there's trouble, at least I've got something to reach for there. Glass, wood, metal, whatever. Yeah, something. Something. Yeah. You see, so I used to pre-plan things in my mind of the scenarios, having done all them years, worked out it can happen at any time. Yeah. See what I mean?
It must leave you quite sort of paranoid, like thinking, you know, any time something can happen. You must be on edge like, most of the time.
Yeah, but I used to like the feeling, sadly, Lee.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said about the chopper read, because he liked that feeling. Yeah. It left him, you know.
I used to walk backwards, you know, like when I used to come out on a concourse sometimes, especially in the Ks, when I had problems on that wing, you know, when you come out for education in the morning, Lee, I used to, because everyone comes out at the same time, I used to walk backwards, sideways, so that I could see blah, 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 you know, so that you would, because people come running down those on them work movements and doing them hectic ones in front of the staff, and you ain't going to get a quick go to her back because you're doing it in front of the screws. You know that it's going to get stopped. Yeah. So when the war thing was on, always constant.
I saw another thing in a video. They were saying that the walkway is the most dangerous time because everyone's going the same direction. That's when the fights happen or the stabbings. Or so do we just better run us a bit through that?
You see, it's a good question, Lee. Not many people ask these things about how hits done and people, because I could have problems with you, But I don't have to be out on the walkway to get you. You could show someone on another wing, put your arm around a geezer like me and say, Yammy, in there, that Lee Mayo, the good-looking geezer with a beard. And I said, what is that? Right, I'll have that. Well, you know what he looks like? He'll be on the walkway in the morning, and I'll go and do it. But you don't know who I am, but you're looking for him. But he's not going to come out, is he?
No,
but in your mind, knowing if you know you've got the problem over there, you're thinking, oh, you could get someone else to do it. Which is what a lot do. You have to ask yourself, why?
So there's got to be something in it for them, isn't it, to do it? Whether it's money or...
No, but I mean, why not do it themselves?
Yeah.
You know, another thing that comes up a lot of the time.
Do you find that though? People get other people to do their work a lot?
Because, it's quite a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's really... But even then, like when people have died in that life and through villains that, you know, they had the problems with, and then you're both in the jail at the same time, and you're thinking, well, this is serious. I lost blah, blah, blah. He lost blah, blah, blah. So, you know, this is really on now because lives have been lost already. So the emotional setting you get, you know what it's like when you lose someone. You know, some men don't ever want to forgive that because of the pain they felt when someone died. As soon as they see you, it's on sight.
What about gangs in there? Do you get much gangs?
Never used to. Now you do.
You do, yeah?
Yeah, flooded now. There's a postcode for every single area. Different gang. You could be, say, in one part of West London. You could say Grove, Mozart thing, but all of them are at beef and they're all like within a mile radius.
Crazy, isn't it?
So then you look at it and then you say, well, hold on then, how are you going to live then? Because every time you step out your door, you're in on your own doorstep, but yet, you know, there's separate gangs in the same areas, but they don't get on. Do you see what I mean? So there's more gangs now than ever.
Yeah.
You know, jealousy.
And that's just changed over the years, is it? It's got more and more.
In the old days, gangs.
Yeah.
Well, no gangs. In the 80s and 90s. The old lot, they wouldn't really allow that being rushed.
Do you find in prisons though that you get like, you know, like the American prisons, you get like the Mexican guys stand together, this group, that group. Is that like that over here or not really like that?
No, in the old days, white, black, Asian. These days, white, black, Asian, you know, all countries from all nationalities, depending on the postcode, will join forces. You know, like for definite, you know, if you got problems with them over there, you know, that other little group, you didn't have anything with them, but they've got problems with the same person, the same group as you, but now you lot join together from prison and say, right, we'll get them done. So, and the other group over there, where you lot have teamed up on, now they know when they go out, they say, yeah, not only have we got it with them, we've got it with them as well, and they're together. So it becomes this knock-on effect. Prisons formed, I would say, for making new friends, enemies.
Sort of over the years over here, like on the outside, there's been like a lot of terrorist attacks and stuff, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's been a lot that stopped and stuff, and people put inside. Do you see that in there? Do you find terrorists inside prison, or do they keep them separate, or do you know they are, or is that kept quiet?
No, I had my little spell around, you know, supposed terrorists or people that have been convicted of terrorist crimes.
Yeah.
And you know, there was a time when, you know, I joined as well.
You joined them, yeah?
Yeah, I joined it in there, but you know, there's a whole lot of different reasons. I was a godly man, but everyone blew it out of proportion. Yeah. And you know, it was one of the stories. You know.
What was your own reasons for joining that?
But for the godly reasons, because I didn't really have no religion at that time, and then, you know, the group of, you know, the violence that goes with it, the upper hand in the prison, the power struggles, you know, people pleasing, being on their side because they got the winning hand, all the things that were, you know, that came together with all that. But you know, everybody knows that as soon as I turned up out the gate from the Cat A's in 2009, I had MI5 waiting out the door for me.
Oh. Because of that reason.
Well, they do.
They've got a hit.
Because Long Lartin told them that, yeah, we believe that he's been radicalised and he's going to sling something, but I was having a laugh, but
Yeah.
they didn't find it funny, did they? So I mean, so they tried to get me back by saying, and then boom, in the end, the powers that be outside, they said, "You've got to be kidding me." Who Yammy, mind a million years.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's because they had the ump with me.
Yeah.
They're trying to get me done in there with the little tricks they played. That I learned that they played from the day I first stepped into institutions. Early, I was doing tit for tat.
Gotcha, yeah.
You see what I mean?
Who's been your biggest influence to your prison life? Like someone you could rely on or trust, or like a brother figure, you know?
Yeah. You know, I've met many, I've got to say, along the years, Lee. I would count myself lucky rather than a hard man or a bad man in that way. But I've met some proper geezers. And for me, I look in the mirror these days and I think, you know what, yeah, you is lucky. Because there's some real figures that helped me in crises as well. It always helps when you've got a few angels, Lee.
Yeah.
No one's as bad as that. You know, no one turns up every day and wins like everybody thinks out here. You know, that, oh, he could have it. Many have lost and, you know, been dropped and they don't like to talk about it. You know, we all have in the fighting game. Nothing can go your way all the time.
Right,
you need bits of luck sometimes to get through. And those figures that stand out, you know, Tony, John, I say exactly like I'm sure you know. Many more. Quincy, people, you know, the real close ones along the years.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, there's some great ones, Sel, you know, there's loads of them, Kenny. You know, lots of people that I saw that people put on pedestals, but in fact they kind of thought the same about me, but yet I was a nutter running about and blah blah blah, but they all took me on. I said, Yammy, don't worry, you have that, don't you again,
Yeah.
you've got to say why.
How do you find out though, like obviously if you're inside with someone for many years and become close to them, and then either they finish their sentence or they move to a different prison, and then you lose that person, so that must be hard as well.
I used to hate that thing.
Yeah.
I always used to be the last one. Everybody used to go and they leave me there and there'd be no one left to go and get anything, and that's when I used to get the ump. Because you get attachments.
Yeah,
to
that's
certain
what I mean.
people.
So you've got attached to someone for so many years, and then suddenly they're gone. It must be
I've had
quite
that.
hard to.
I felt that lonely feeling a few times because you really like certain people and they come in handy with the dynamics and certain things. You know, whether it be cooking, whether it be drugs, whether it be things that you know go with the hustle in there, the daily grafting kind of thing, Lee. But some geezers that you know you wake up to, and you know you've got a safety net of good people.
Guys around you.
Like, boom, I was just like Tony Argent around. You know, like it's difficult, and then you look one day and you think, "Where's Tony gone?" Because other people start thinking, "All right, Tony's gone, John's gone, everybody's gone," and that means that you're weak then.
Yeah,
Because the big ones have gone, and blah blah blah. But I used to reverse it all the other way. All right, they're gone now. That I've got to, you know, sadly show once
up
again,
again,
and blah blah blah. So I mean, so it's got all swings in the.
It must be quite hard mentally though to like, you know, like you say, your friends keep going and you're the last one remaining, so you got to adjust again. Just as like you're comfortable, you got to keep adjusting.
And it
must be hard in your mind. So.
Lee, it's a good point because the officers they play them kind of games. Yeah. They put you down a block and then they say, "Yeah, you wanted to go." You know, they spread the rumours to get you done. It's all the same way. The police did it back in the day with certain people. You know, when you're a bit, you know, you're a bit more savvy. And a bit more know a bit, and you can catch them slipping a little bit. You know, I used to with my pranks. They didn't really like that, you know, because I know what they're like. You see what I mean?
Do you find a prison themselves if they find a team of guys that are strong folks together? Do they try and
break it up?
They do.
Yeah, but they like to set people up to get done as well. You see what I mean? But you've got to learn to stand on your own, Lee, because you've got to know how you are. Many men lost gangs and things, especially the young ones now. I've seen them, the whole gang move, and they're on their own, and all of a sudden they won't even come out for labour. You know, to go on the walkway. You know, you're going to be basically hiding because all of a sudden you're feeling naked because you know why? You wasn't used to looking after doing it yourself. You know, even though we know it's not the right way to be with violence, but what do you do in there if you've got a bunch of geezers running down the landing with big knives and all that kind of stuff?
When you say, you know, sometimes they got set up, or the screws would set people up, have you come across that, like, sort of witnessed that a bit?
Yeah, Lee. I've seen that. I've seen. Well, we know we know the famous stories, you know, someone, a sex offender died in Long Lartin. We know that a screw told 2 inmates or a few, listen mate, that geezer's got to go, it's wrong, and boom, they went in there, killed him, they're both lifed off, blah, blah, blah. I know that it wasn't them, see what I mean? But at
So
the
they've
time,
been set up
by
the murder.
screws, yeah, and the geezer apparently wasn't that kind of sex offender, but he was, if you get what I mean, in another way. But that was one of the wrong ones. There's been many others. I mean, in the old days, like the Borstal days and the island, the early bits, and things like you'd have the number 1 man on the wing to run the survey. Yeah, your cell's number 1. But the officers go past him when there's a problem with an inmate up there. They say, yeah, listen, he's got to go. It's part and parcel of the job. That was a famous one, Roy. He's got to go. All right, then go hard do that for you. Well, it makes you half a wronger kind of thing, because you're doing that kind of. But many men took it on, I'm afraid.
Yeah, just going on to the lighter side of stuff, there must be times you've had a good laugh. Is there any sort of funny stories you've got for us?
Funny, like by way of incidents or
Yeah,
by way
like
of things that
more
led to real
light-hearted as
trouble?
in sort of the funny things that have happened that you can look back and laugh at.
Well, there was, I'll give you one, because I was thinking on the way down here, because someone sent a comment this morning, Lee, saying about, oh, what about the day when the chicken went missing in the Cat A and you hit someone on the head with it? I said, nah, that wasn't the full story. It was with Kenneth Noye.
Right, okay.
Right? So I was on a food boat with Kenny for a few days.
What is a food boat?
Oh yeah, food boat. It's, in the Cat A's, you're allowed to cook.
Right.
So you're allowed to buy your veg, peas, all that kind of stuff, and chicken, meat, fish, and you either go up there and cook it yourself, because it's quite crowded in there. A lot of trouble happens in there over stoves and fires, rightly. And then, but you get obviously the heavier lot that will pay a cook to do their cooking for
Right.
them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was late Thursday night, and a chicken went missing out the freezer, like it does, right? It can do, you know, because people that are after stuff and they need a bit and they don't know how to get a graft that day, a chicken to one of the cookers could probably get you what you're looking for by way of drug or something else, tobacco or whatever.
Yeah.
So Kenny, 3 or 4 days, give me a bit of pizza, blah, blah, blah. Did like Kenny, it's cool, you know, he said kind of trained together and all the rest of it. And he had a geezer cooking for him. So I was running about like a nutter then. Kenny's gone into the freezer bag and he said, hold on a minute, there's chickens missing. So the geezer that does the cooking for him, well, I saw Yammy in there. So I thought, yeah. But he's saying that, the geezer that does the cooking for him, because I knocked him as in, took something off him and basically kind of mugged him off, sadly. Yeah. And he's probably nicked the chicken and then said, pass it on to him. And Kenny's like thinking, but hold on, Yammy don't have to do that. He would just come and ask me to give him a £5 or give him a tenner or whatever, or goods to do that. Cool. So when Kenny said it to me, I went absolutely madly. I said, all right, sweet as a nut, I'm going to prove it, right? So I was plotting on the landing, waiting for this geezer. He was nutting me, I was nutting him, but I could see he was paranoid, thinking, does Yammy know? I see him speaking to Kenny, so he was watching, so he's thinking, as Kenny told me, but you know that I know. And then basically I waited, he went down the stairs. As soon as he got in the cell, I went down, another 3 geezers come, held the door, went inside there. But it's pretty funny as well, because I went in there, nearly slipped, as usual. But I got back out of it. Basically, that was a victory for me that day, because I was on the floor, they were all looking through the spile. And then Kenny come in and said, Yammy, drop it out, don't worry about it, boy. And that was a funny one. And then they were saying, the mystery of the missing chicken. You know, these are the kind of things that happen in there, and you know it could lead to really serious consequences.
Yeah, like you say, a missing chicken, you wouldn't even.
They'll say, you know, in there they'll go, yo, look, wrong, take the chicken, mate. How could you do that? But yeah, you killed everyone for fucking a £5 out there. Yeah. You murdered your wife. You raped someone. You did that, but now you're sitting on the front of the throne saying you're not allowed to be a thief. You know, for a chicken. Think about it, Lee. And Kenny just laughed. He go, don't worry about it. And I was in Long Lartin with him. And Kenny's used to laugh. He's proper stuff to me as well. Good boy, good man, straight up and down. A lot of people say this, say that. I don't.
Yeah. Just a quick one. Can I touch on what's the prison down in Norfolk called?
Wayland, High Point.
Wayland High Point. Yeah. Was you in there with Ronnie Biggs? Because I know he was in there in the 90s at some point, wasn't he? The great train robber.
No, he wouldn't have been. I'll tell you what, Lee. He could never have been in the Sea Cats in the 90s. He would have had to have been. Oh no, you might be right, because I saw him. He came when he got extradited. He got extradited to Belmarsh.
Right.
I think so. He was in the hospital bed. So that could have been 97, 98 or 2000. So that was the only time I would have had to come across him. But personally, never met him face to face.
Gotcha.
Lee. Yeah.
So we start to wind it up now, Yammy. Thanks for coming on. But just one big question before you go.
Go on, son. Come with it, boy.
Who was the biggest, baddest, hardest prisoner in the prisons?
I've been asked this many times before, haven't I, Lee? The greatest, the baddest, the hardest. Tony, John, Tony, Quincy, Charlie, Boom, Pat, Paul, Dave, Apart from all them, it was me. They said to me this morning, I was driving down, they said, yeah, but it was you. And I said, in what way? They said, because you took a risk every day and you was out there on the front line, thinking all that. Tony always says it, but yeah, tongue in cheek. But no, it was probably me. I was the greatest of all time.
Thanks for coming in, anyway.
My boy.
Been a pleasure.
Love you.
Just before we wind up, anyone that's interested in true crime, I suggest if you go over to Lolly's True Crime on Twitter and check out her page. Also her husband Jared, great to follow. They come up with some great stories. They do blogs and look into it. We put the details up now. Highly recommended. Check it out. Thanks for watching.